Hey everyone, welcome back to Hanging with the Hoopers podcast. Tim and Andrew Hooper, your hosts, where we believe the attitude of leadership is literally everything. Andrew, what are we specifically talking about today?
Man, I'm excited for this one. We're talking about philanthropy,
Boom!
community involvement, why it really matters
Yes.
in business, why it matters.
And it matters. First off, it matters. You're so passionate over there. It's firing me up. You said, let's talk about philanthropy and how businesses can do this and advance this cause. But not only that, because you brought up an interesting point as we were talking earlier. You said that a lot of times what you find in these community organizations on the boards or in the volunteering realm is you find a lot of more senior level management. And listen, if you're listening, you're a young professional and you're doing like crazy amounts of philanthropic work, our hats are off to you. I think what Andrew's reference was when we're starting our career, it's growing that, right? We're very, very busy in that. And so, Andrew, take us away with how to change that paradigm a bit.
I mean, changing, and I don't. Let me just put it this way: I don't think we have to change much. I think it's more of looking for the right opportunities and building this into kind of what you do from a business practice. I'll be the first to admit I don't do enough as much as I could.
Me too.
Part of that by design, because it can be easy in the volunteerism and the community involvement world to overcommit, because we can be, you could be passionate about pets, you could be passionate about cancer, you could be passionate about homelessness, and then you want to get involved in all these types of organizations, and before you know it, you have all these board meetings, committee meetings, and you're spread too thin. So that's a whole nother topic for a different time. So I'm not telling you to go out there and go gung-ho and look to be involved in everything.
Right.
But I would say whatever really gets you going when you think about community involvement, focus on that first.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of a young professional in an organization, you might be a young leader, or you just have a passion for volunteerism, you have a passion for community. You look at maybe serving on a board. And I will say in the not-for-profit world, many of the board seats are going to be held by your kind of elder statesmen of business, if you will. Your more affluent business leaders, executives, and that's to be expected. They have the financial power to support these organizations and the influence in the community to get things done. And when you think about being on a board, that's a big component of helping to lead and run a nonprofit, right? Your circle of influence, what you're able to bring to the table.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that. That's what's needed in order to affect change. But as a young professional or someone looking to carve into that space, there is plenty you can bring to the table on a board seat, or we'll get into some other avenues of how you can do this that has nothing to do with money, but you can still be a huge proponent and advocate to propel that organization forward.
Yes.
Through applicable use of your business acumen, the things that you're doing every day. What can you bring to, could you be a treasurer? Could you potentially keep the meeting minutes and be a great admin for the board, right? There's so many different ways you can apply yourself in those types of settings. So don't let kind of the imposter syndrome of I don't belong there because I'm not the CEO or I'm not the owner of a business keep you from putting your best foot forward when it comes to that service. Because I know as a young professional coming up through the ranks, a lot of my friends and myself, you can deal with the imposter syndrome, especially when you start rubbing shoulders with the types of people in the executive chair.
Yep.
Right. And Tim, I know you had we were kind of talking through that earlier around.
Well, I remember the Adam Grant quote you sent me that says, imposter syndrome says, I don't know what I'm doing. It's only a matter of time until someone finds out. Versus the growth mindset that says, I don't know what I'm doing yet. Keyword yet. It's only a matter of time until I figure it out. And the highest form of self-confidence is believing in your ability to learn. And so I think that, first off, seeing community involvement as a huge opportunity for your business. You talk about putting roots down, right, in a community. That's so big. The other thing I think is it keeps us honest. As we're growing professionally, we can live in a bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of reality, we can start looking down on people, the vermin of society. I've heard leaders say that, and it drives me nuts.
Crazy.
Like, I've served soup at a homeless shelter, and I could only imagine, because it's never happened to me, and heaven forbid it ever does, but I can only imagine what that person had to have gone through to get to the mental place, right, of living and being okay in homelessness. It breaks my heart. And so I think it keeps us humble. It keeps us a reality check. It also keeps us our vision of what are we doing for our community. We have a physical address. Our mail is coming through the post office to a physical address. We are blessed to live in a certain community. What are we doing to give back to that community? One story I got to share is one of my agent partners, and 10% of every closing they do, or $10 from every close, I can't remember the figure, but for whatever, every closing they do, there's a certain amount that goes towards a charity. And the cool thing is, all of the employees get to put their favorite charity in a hat. They shake it, and at the end of the month, they pull one, and they go present the check to that charity. Again, that's very simple, right? A lot of team involvement with that,
Right.
but the mojo, if you will, internally, but also externally in the community is fantastic. That's just one avenue. I know you mentioned boards, serving on boards, giving of your time, doing those things. I think develop us in so many different ways because of the people in other industry verticals who are volunteering that we get to be around, rub shoulders with. So powerful.
You talked about being in the bubble, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, when we're in our own little vertical of whatever it is that we do, we can, if we're not getting out and rubbing shoulders with the right people that are doing different industries than we are, we think that we're the most important thing since sliced bread.
Right.
And it helps keep you grounded to the fact that there are many other people dealing with a lot of similar struggles and wins and whatnot in different industries, and you can really grow by being around them. But I want to point out one other thing, like go to the heart state of what volunteerism and community involvement does, and giving of your time to serve somebody who's less fortunate than you in some way. I know we always try to relate it back to homelessness, but think about it. Anyone dealing with disease or something like this, they're all people that are less fortunate than you may be at this time. Or maybe you've dealt with it in your past, so you can empathize. But when you give of yourself with no expectation of return, that's the beauty of volunteerism. That's what people buy into. It's that, man, you don't have to be doing this, but you're doing it and you're giving back. Man, talk about building a powerful culture at your company and with your team. That's the way to do it. Now, a byproduct of doing that consistently is you probably will see business success from it. From the PR standpoint.
Which is beautiful.
But I will tell you, if you go into it to do these things simply for that, it's pretty easy to be sniffed out. Right? And people that you're working with will very quickly see that. But I want to make this practical for people listening who might be like, well, how do I kind of carve into something? Well, there are literally hundreds of organizations in every community, from a one house homeless shelter all the way up to, the American Cancer Societies and the JDRF and, March of Dimes, all this good stuff. I think that's part of JDRF. I'm running things together. But there's many organizations out there at all different sizes. Approach them if it's something you're passionate about, right? And ask, hey, what opportunities do you have for me to volunteer? You don't want to go get on a board somewhere if you've never volunteered and seen what that organization is like. Because I've gone to some events that nonprofits have run, and I'm like, man, the leadership of this nonprofit, it's not really something I would want to be a part of because I can see there's some dysfunction. On the other hand, you go and you volunteer for an event, and it's very well put together, and it's something that, hey, if I spend time here, I'm not going to be trying to fix internal problems. I can be actually helping the mission of this nonprofit.
Move the mission forward.
So think about that. Like, I think you need to volunteer first and foremost.
Somebody once said date your date like the charity. So date your charities and see which one is a good fit, right?
Great practice. And if you're starting out, that's what you should do. But as a young person, you can't expect, I say young person, as a young professional or someone who's just carving into the space, maybe you don't have the financial bear to come make a large donation to hold a board seat, because some more serious boards require that. You still want to serve at that capacity. So look for organizations where you can volunteer in a committee. Maybe they do an annual fundraiser or a quarterly event, or they have their big 5K every year. Every single one of those events have committees, and they are always looking for volunteers to help lead and run those committees. So again, you have to look at your time. How much can you invest? Go serve on a committee. You're still going to rub shoulders with great people in your business community that are doing the same thing as you. And you're going to get a little bit of an appetite by attending committee meetings and maybe organizing the fundraiser or the run of what it's like to serve on a board. And it can really help you understand if it's A, the right organization, and B, something you want to do. So if you're a young professional, start with that. Go volunteer, date your charities, and then look for opportunities to serve on committees. Some of the most rewarding things I've done in my professional career were doing, and it was a lot of work. Right? Building up to raise a ton of money. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of work. You want to beat last year's numbers. You want to do all that. It's fun though. And some of those relationships just carry with you. They carry with you for so long. And it's amazing what that can do for you professionally over time, just as a byproduct.
Looking back, like I remember from your days at Chase, looking back at, I think, an Instagram picture or something I saw, like one of the most joyous moments and one of the things that really stood out of all the things you shared, and you did amazing things. I mean, you're a great professional, but one of the things was I never forget, you all went down and did something. You all had the T-shirts. You're all in front of this building.
Habitat for Humanity.
Was it
probably,
Habitat?
Yeah.
And basically, it was that moment. I was like, wow, it looks like you're having a lot of fun. So not only that, but like the PR for your company and your culture. And you're not doing it for that again. But you also look back on those memories, and you'll never forget those memories.
Right.
If you're a CEO, I would just challenge you to think about some of your frontline managers and make sure you're carving out that time and that opportunity for them, or at least encouraging them to look at doing some things in your community. Along those lines, because here's the fringe benefit you're going to get as a business leader. If we're not careful, and this can happen to us, top line, frontline manager, or employee, your job can literally morph into a have to. You got the job. I get to go to work. I do this. You can slowly start taking for granted things and become a have to. You're now coming into work. I have to do these things. I think what a charity does is it reinvigorates that side of your brain that might have gone dead about, I'm here. I don't have to be here. I actually get to be here. This is a blessing. I'm grateful to serve these people.
Right.
You go outside of these four walls of the business where things may have become boredom or tough, or I'm burned out. You go over here and you get the blessing of that. You're going to carry that energy back.
Oh, it's so powerful.
And when that comes back inside those four walls, So Andrew, wrap us up, man.
So 3 takeaways from what Tim just said. If you're the leader of your own company and you can make these decisions in your company, repurpose your team building events. Are you taking the entire team to Topgolf to shoot golf balls? Could you repurpose that team event into going, you can still go to Topgolf, but why not start with feeding lunch to the homeless? Or why not go run a 5K together? Encourage health and wellness along with it.
Yeah.
Give your team the time. So repurpose some of your team events into community events. Number 2, a great corporate practice is Giving Tuesday every year. And in Giving Tuesday, what happens? Corporations will match employees' contributions up to a certain amount and donate it to the charity of that employee's choice. So if you haven't thought about something like that, that's a very applicable way that you can go ahead and do it. And then the third thing that I've seen work very well, do you give your people some paid time every year to go volunteer?
Wow.
So some of the greatest companies I've worked with and worked for gave their people up to 20 hours a year of paid time to go volunteer.
Wow.
So they could take a day off and go volunteer and get paid for it.
Wow.
Think about how relatively cheap that would be for
Yeah.
you as a successful business owner, but the impacts and the way your team is going to feel about that when they can go volunteer, get credit for it, and get paid for it.
That's soulful right there. You're investing in the soul of your people. That's huge.
So practical stuff.
I'll never forget. First day on the job with you, we went and ran miles for melanoma with one of our good agent partners.
We did.
And how impactful.
I walked it, you ran it.
Well, how impactful was that? Wow, this is a wrap, but man, invest in philanthropic endeavors in your community and encourage your frontline and your team to do the same, and your business will be better for it.
It'll help your heart and your bottom line.
Boom.
Another good talk, my friend.
Attitude of leadership.
Love you, brother.
See ya.